thought that this being sort of sandwiched in between the two holidays and so forth might be a nice occasion for those of us who are here to reflect, maybe in a manner that we have not done before, on the meaning of Christmas and New Year's, the two being so close together. Now, that being the case, what we need to look at this particular time is a context within which these, is it cold?
Very cold?
I'm asking, is it cold?
No.
Are you cold?
Well,
I
it's
turned it
always
up.
cold, but
Yeah.
you know, that's just because some of us originated in the North Pole. And in any event, what and this being fewer of us, it might even allow us a little more opportunity to look at these issues and to interact. So I will entertain comments and questions at certain points as well, in addition to trying to entertain you. So what we need to keep in mind is that we are living in a system. The Greek word for system is cosmos, and the cosmos or the system, in other terms or in other words, is the primarily, although these things are never totally exclusive, is primarily the sphere of the influence and of the activity of physical being. And so when we reflect on that, then in the past I have often made little diagrams and things of that sort. And way back in the good days when that was still done, before all this electronic balderdash has come about, we had the blackboard, the green board, and things like that, on which you could draw nice designs. But they have sort of gone out of fashion. So what I will ask you to do, if possible, to do a little active imagination, or a little envisioning of something that I'm only going to be able to describe. Now, in order to describe the annual zodiacal trip of the cosmos, it is best to draw a circle. So you imagine a circle, and then you intersect that circle by an equal arm cross, so that there is a vertical and a horizontal arm to it, which extends to, if a circle had any corners, it would extend to the corners of the circle. And the end points of this equal arm cross of the vertical variety would be the solstices, so that on top of the circle is the summer solstice, on the bottom of the circle is the winter solstice, and the crossbar, on the other hand, ends in the points of the equinoxes, so that as we are looking at this imagined design, the one on the end point of the horizontal line on the right side would be the autumnal equinox, and the end point on the other side, opposite side of the also of the horizontal line would be the spring equinox. Spring equinox and the autumnal equinox are opposed to each other, and the solstice is in turn also. Now, the reason that this is a fairly conventional way of envisioning the annual development, the annual movement of the cosmos in accordance with the solar system. Now, that being the case, there is a way in which Dr. Kuhn instructed at least me and some of us, which is a very nice way of looking at this. And it says, what we need to look at here is an image of the movement of the progress of the divine light. Not just the sun, not just the moon, but something of more transcendental nature. And we begin with that at the summer solstice, which is at the top of the circle. The light enters the cosmos, and then it begins to travel along. So the next quarter that it finishes is the autumnal equinox. From the summer to the autumn, from the bright light, closeness to the sun, we move to a darkening. And these also have developed over the years. They're associated sort of minor holidays, like the minor holiday of the autumnal equinox is Halloween. And the associated holidays with winter solstice down at the bottom of the circle are what? Christmas and New Year. And then, however, we slowly begin to move up and we come to the vernal equinox, which in turn is fairly close to what? Easter. And then we get back to where we began, with where the light entered to begin with. And as Dr. Kuhn was wont to say, well, if we have done very well, if we have learned all our lessons, which we usually don't, then now we get back to the closest point to the light, and we can go into the light. So that's the image of the cosmic development. Now, when we place the ecclesiastical and secular holidays of Christmas and New Year onto this little diagram, then we will find that the place to put them is at the bottom of the circle at the winter solstice, which is the darkest point of the zodiac. And for this reason, it's sort of considered really the night of the cosmic development. And then it is there at the darkest point that we find the religious holiday originating in Christianity of Christmas. At the darkest point of the night is the Christ is born. And if you want to be a little more secular about it, then very close to that, also at the darkest point of the night, we experience New Year. When the old year goes away, the new year arrives. And then we move from there. So this is, I think, a very handy way of visualizing the cosmic cyclicity. Incidentally, cyclicity is not something that relates to a bicycle, but it relates kyklos in Greek, meaning a circle. It means the circular development. So it's a very nice way of visualizing the changing relationship of the sun and the earth throughout the year. Now that being the case, we might also ask ourselves what's wrong with it, because that's how our minds are constituted, and we, even when we see something really meaningful, we like to find out what's wrong with it. Well, I probably should ask you, but I hardly ever give my friends too much of an opportunity to chime in, as it were. So I'll try to tell you at least what I think is wrong with it. What is wrong with it is it keeps going round and round the merry-go-round, and we can't get out of it. And so let's say the sort of the primitive pagan way of looking at it is, all right, we'll just we'll go from holiday to holiday, and we look at the various keynotes that pertain, let's say, to the autumnal equinox, Halloween and all of that. That can be a lot of fun. We try to make it that. And as we keep going, well, we return, so that even though we come to the point that is closest to the light, we don't manage to get out. We are not ready to get out, so we continue and we go around and around. And so this is the system, this is the cosmos, which has many commendable features, of course. After all, we like Christmas, and I like Halloween, of course, too. You know, we can Easter, it has always been a wonderful holiday. These are great places, but they are within a self-moving, self-perpetuating system, out of which there doesn't seem to be any way. Back again and again. Now then, as also Dr. Kuhn was one to point out, but as always with truly valid symbols, we should consider that the symbolism, while in this case it is cosmic, it is external, but if we change our view a little bit, we discover that it is also internal. And so there is a way of traveling around the circle of the zodiac inside of us. And that is the time where we might consider the preparation for such an event, and then the event itself, that we can become liberated from the confines of the cosmos. I was always, without stupid expressions, but let's say I was frequently shaking my head for the last few decades, when particularly in esoteric circles, there was all this emphasis on cosmic this, cosmic that, and I often thought to myself, do you realize that what you are doing is you are reconciling yourself and celebrating your captivity in a system? Is that really what you want to do? I mean, it's good to learn the map, but you don't have to become a slave of what the map represents. And this, of course, is quite important. And so particularly, I think the most prominent representative that I have seen in my many years of study of, let's say, the trans-cosmic, the more than cosmic intentionality of the development of the soul was agnosticism. Because Gnosticism does not worship the cosmos. Gnosticism is rather inclined to be dissatisfied with it. And as we ride around the merry-go-round, we are saying, when am I going to get off of this wheel? You know? Isn't there a way of doing that? And that in turn, again, as Alvin Boyd Kuhn will want to point out, that in turn is the internalization, you might say, the cosmic mysticism of the Gnosis, wherein you recognize your presence in this system, but you don't rejoice being in the system, and you don't, let's put it this way, you don't, ultimately you don't want to be in it. And considering the possible fact that we all have been in this system for countless years and countless millennia and maybe countless millions of years, wouldn't it be nice to get out of it?
Yes.
Of course. But now comes the question how that is done. And I think one of the nice ways, which was also part of this particular disquisition, is when we recognize that we can return to the same light from whence we have come. And that really the return to that light and the development in an effective way of that possibility may be the actual accomplishment of the purpose of our lives. Now, it is true that as far as we can detect, and as we search the various scriptures, traditions of the world, and very, very hard to find, that why and how did we come here to begin with, particularly why? And I don't think that there is a rational answer to it, because it's not a rational question. So the answer to it is that somehow it was the determination of the divine will that at some point in our developmental journey we should be caught in the cosmos. And once again, don't think of that frequently mentioned sentence, which is one of the sentences that I intensely dislike. Oh, it's a learning experience. Oh, really? So what have I learned lately? So the thing is, it's not a matter of instruction, but it's a matter of learning how to express in an ever more effective manner the transformational change intended by the ultimate power that works within us as we move around in this cosmic development. So we have to look at it a little more deeply, and it's like so often, almost any esoteric teaching can have at least two interpretations. You have to keep those in mind. And one is external, culminating in the physical, and the other one is internal and culminates in the liberation of the ultimate spark, the divine, the spirit, which is within us and which is developing its capacity to overcome the world. So if you want to use a different, different languages, maybe a little more quasi-biblical or so forth, we are not here just to live in this world and die, which is apparently what always happens. But we are here in this world in order to overcome the world. We have come here to become savvy by way of our gnosis of the cosmos and be able to overcome the limitations of the cosmos by virtue of this gnosis that we have acquired. And that is not a very frequent point of view, because somehow it seems that humanity is still caught, in spite of all of its technology and everything else that is around, humanity is still caught in a confined and somewhat myopic view of its position in being. And when that myopic point of view changes and becomes enlarged, that is when we have gnosis, because gnosis is neither more nor less than our awareness that has come upon us that we don't belong really into this cosmos, and that our task is much more along the lines of overcoming the cosmos than remaining its prisoner. And so in some of the Gnostic scriptures, very, very courageously and powerfully stated that this cosmos and your confinement in it, this is a prison. And that sometimes it is called the iron prison, which makes it that much more moving, But that the prisoner ought to find ways of coming out of the prison. Because the prisoner doesn't belong there. He ended up there for the time being, yes. But we have the capacity, more than that, the calling to move out of this. And what is the Hoeller, that's a nice highfalutin way of expressing it. But then of course comes always the perennial question that occurs to us in human life. Yes, but how? How are you going to overcome the world? How are you going to overcome the cosmos? How are you going to break the iron prison? And that's a very big question. But we can say this much, and on this I think that any student, any devotee who has practiced his or her devotion and study sufficiently would agree that one can overcome the world by bringing forth into effective manifestation something that is within us. We have a capacity for ultimate freedom. But like so many other things, we can have a capacity capacity, and we may not exercise it. I have a capacity to resist eating vegetables, and I exercise it as much as possible. Because ever since I was a child, I didn't like to eat anything green, and I still don't. To hell with it. In any event, that's just a little personal aside, so to say. But let's see, we have a capacity within us which is subdued, which is quiet. You might even call it, we have a sleeping giant in our house. But the sleeping giant will not remain sleeping forever. It is not intended to remain sleeping. Because of a certain development over which the giant had no control, he did come into a condition which might be considered asleep on and off. And you have all of the fairy tales, all of the things about the sleeping beauty and so forth, various personalities, great personalities who usually by way of some sorcery have been put asleep. And what they really signify is the unfortunate unconsciousness into which we have fallen. But just we have fallen because we have fallen into it. That doesn't mean that we need to remain there. But we need to do something about it. We have the capacity to do so. And now maybe I will recount a few of the symbolic expressions of the various solstices and equinoxes, more particularly the winter solstice, with which the Christmas holiday and the New York, the New Year's holiday are connected. So as I managed before to indicate that there is when the zodiacal journey is the darkest, it is somehow out of that darkness that the reborn light comes. And this reborn light is the one that in the Christian mythos has been largely characterized by the birth of Christ, which is it's not just a metaphor, but neither is it, as some people might say, who don't really know the deeper meaning of what they are talking about. It's not just a symbol. Because a real symbol is never just something. A real symbol is the key that opens up the mystery. The real symbol is the way in which we begin to get the glimpse of how to escape our limited condition. And this is of very great importance. So let's take a little look at some of the Christmas symbolism in this case and see how it fits into this dual scheme that we have now of the external and the internal. Yes, we Gnostics don't deny certainly the presence, the coming into the world of what we call the messengers of light. And we've been dealing with that in various of our disquisitions here, whether it was the hymn of the pearl or many of the others, that from time to time, and again this is against the nomenclature of the materialists and the secularists, from time to time there comes somebody from outside. By the outside I mean not only outside of Los Angeles, not only outside the United States, not only outside the Western hemisphere, but from outside of the cosmos, the non-cosmic force which has been called transcendent. C.G. Jung said that we all have a transcendent function within us, in addition to the sensate and feeling and thinking and intuitive function. We have a transcendent function, which means that our consciousness has the capacity and probably the great and long unfulfilled desire to return to a great, a wonderful condition which transcends everything that we are aware of now. And this is because of things like that that the Gnostics have sometimes called world haters. We don't hate the world, but we love something that is more than the world. And why do we do that? It's because we know what it is. And that is our gnosis. We have been there. We can be there now. We can feel it. We can move into its nature and allow it to move. Now, I don't need to remind you that this is a very different kind of desire, different kind of intentionality from the one that you find in the world. Even among very well-intentioned and very good people. Oh, I want to transform the world. Oh, I want to save the world. Well, if you look into the history of spiritual traditions, there have been a lot of great figures in East and West and in North and South as well, who tried to do that. And maybe to some extent accomplished it also, but how did they accomplish it? They accomplished it by offering the means whereby the individual people in the world can attain to their authentic freedom by becoming united with the internal and transcendental self. Something that the magicians call the holy guardian angel, which is a nom de plume, because what this really amounts to is that at certain points in the development of the spirit of the individual, the personality becomes confronted with its own transcendental self. And when that happens, then a certain development is taking place, which reconnects us with our original condition. And so, one of the ways in which, in fact, I think I remember one teacher of mine having mentioned that what you should strive for is not more of the same, but something else. And you can, because you have the capacity for the holy order, which is a term that some of the modern theologians, like Paul Tillich, for instance, who was a great one. I want you to know I visited his grave in Indiana. I didn't really go there to visit the grave, but they told me, say, in that cemetery Paul Tillich is. I said, well, let's go over there. So it's meaningful coincidence. In any event, when the recognition comes to the individual that there is a transcendental selfhood, a divine being within us, then it becomes a highly desirable possibility that we should make contact with that and to try to live more and more under the guidance, the inspiration, and ultimately the freedom bestowing capacity of that internal self. Probably one of the most graphic descriptions of this kind of a process is in the Hermetic, the Corpus Hermeticum. There is a book called the Poimandres. That's a name of an individual. And Poimander is there meditating, trying to get close to his spirit, and then he looks up and there is a gigantic, luminous figure in front of him that is practically from earth to the heavens, and he asks, who are you? This is particular interpretation of the Poimandres. And this gigantic spirit being says, look at me and you will know who I am. And he keeps looking, and what he sees is a transcendentalized, a transfigured, a luminous and gigantic replica of himself. And this then, of course, this was, let's say, this was a difficult thing to convey once the church fathers like Irenaeus and the rest of them took over. And so it was in those days that this transcendental self came to be regarded as the magical self, or as the holy guardian angel. Because Christian theology has taught from an early time that there is a lot of angelology. And if you think that there is the Catholics, Roman Catholics, have too many angels, well then just go to the Orthodox, go to, there's a beautiful store, I primarily devoted to the sale of icons in East Glendale, wonderful collection, and icons upon icons upon icons, angels upon angels upon angels, archangels and angels, and some humans like Andrei Rublev, the greatest icon painter of all times, whose little icon I wear here now on my lapel, they're all there. So that, let's say, in many traditions, why do you think that, for instance, the Hindus have so many gods and goddesses? Just because they like variety? Well, I wouldn't blame them. Listen, some of those goddesses are pretty cute. Sita and in some of her aspects are also Shakti. So they're really interesting looking beings. But what they are really, they are the emanations of the holy power which is here to guide humanity, and when we enlist the aid of these assisting agencies, then our own ability to develop if you want to call it that, why not? The God and Goddess within us. I always, let's say, I frequently remember a little incident in Miami where I was in the house of Mr. Ram Kumar Singh, a Punjabi theosophist, and like many of the Punjabis who come to Miami, he of course had bookkeeping and let's see what's the other name for accountant, an accounting firm, and consequently, if you count a lot of money, then you have a lot of money. But in a very nice gentleman, and I found out that you don't have to be a Sikh to have Singh after your name. You just have to be from the Punjab. Punjab is all Singhs, which means lion. So you better be nice to Punjab, you know. But in any event, so we were there in Mr. Singh, if you want to use the last one, in his house. And I looked we were in a sort of a living room setting, very good, and then I looked into a somewhat larger room attached to it, and there were standing side by side, I don't know how many, great life-size statues of the Hindu gods and goddesses, with the lights in front of them, and the various offerings in front of them. And he said, you have to keep up your traditions. You have to continue to have contact with the divinities of your ancestors, because then you will be that much better off. And with all that, he was a very devoted theosophist. So anyway, these are the mysterious forces and beings that are here, and that if you comport yourself in a manner that is similar to their intentions, then you are thereby greatly helped. So let's say those who touch the true self, those who touch the chosen deity, what the Hindus call the Ishta Devata, within themselves, they are then overshadowed and guarded by that deity. It's very important. You know, the Ishta Devata, the chosen deity of Mahatma Gandhi, for instance, was Rama, the avatar Rama. And when they came, his own religionists, crazy people, and they came in and killed Gandhi. The last thing that the people heard, the resounding out of them, Rama, Rama, Rama. So there are all kinds of helpful agencies on the way. There are the guardians of the path. And yes, maybe in modern theosophy, and by modern I mean beginning in the 1800s, you know, there have been various names, there have been various nomenclatures, masters and teachers and things of that sort. While in other traditions there may have been the saints, which to this day appeal to their devotees and help them, and various other ways in which the transcendental core of being manifests to us. And so we need to look for it. We need to keep it in mind. And if we do, then as we travel around this circle, we are not just going to be blind travelers who travel because they don't know any better, but will be the travelers who come closer and closer to that which is real, to that which is great, that which is good. And I just give you a few little examples of how this works, for instance, in religious tradition. At Christmas, I celebrate what the Italians call the Gesù Bambino, the little baby Jesus, which is what? It is the young and developing higher self. There is a divine baby, there is a cradle, there is a Bethlehem within us. And there something is coming, something is being born. And the various other powers and potentialities of the human, like the shepherds who come down from the hills, are there and kneeling in front of the little one. This one is, maybe this one is going to make it. Maybe this one will bring liberty to himself, herself, or to others. Maybe this one will make this strange place more filled with light. And that is, of course, extremely important. So the child of promise that comes at the winter solstice, why at the winter solstice? Well, probably because according to the development of these capacities, these theophanies, which is very, very similar to Epiphany, when God manifests, these theophanies come forth with a greater power, and maybe are too visible, or are also visible, which brings up a tiny little point, and that is that we should be a little bit careful by being too condemnatory of the dark, of the darkness. Why? Because what can you see more clearly in the dark but the light? And so Jesus, the messenger, is born at midnight in the Judean hills, when it's dark. But in that darkness there is the little light that has come now, and that is destined to become a great and perhaps perennial, but certainly very long-lasting light of enlightenment. And this is important to keep in mind, that when something, this can be used as a general principle, when something really important, spiritually important, is happening in your life, or is attempting to happen in your life, is coming forth, then be reverent, because there is a Christ child that is born in the manger. I think it's very important to recognize the importance of that which is small, because that which is small can become large. That which is like a little tiny seed of light hidden deeply within your nature, when it comes forth, can become like the gigantic spirit in the Boimondes. It can become a seed. Why? Because the potential of redemption, the potential of salvation, the potential of gnosis resides within us already. But like so many things, these mysterious potencies need to be paid attention. And that's, I think, where our culture is now failing us most miserably. Because our attention is, for good or for ill or for in between good and ill, is always focused outside. It's over there. You should. Maybe what you think is over there is a projection, like the movie projector that used to be in this place in the 1930s. But the film was in the projector and not in the projection. So the projection looks good, but that which projected the projection is what is true and really important. Now let's look at a few other little things. Let's see, now the winter solstice, as we mentioned, is the area where both Christmas and New Year occur. And I think that we realize that the occurrence of Christmas is, of course, it's the signal that the redeeming light, the guide, the one who has come from outside is becoming active, redeemed. But at the same time, it may also be useful to keep in mind that the coming of the light bringer is that of a development. We like Joseph and Mary, we are called to nourish that light, which is beginning to stir, beginning to come forth. And the signs that are about, of course, indicates that. For instance, I was quite impressed today when looking over some of this by the mystery which I'll talk more about on Epiphany of the three magi. Who are the three magi? Here they come out of seemingly nowhere. There come Casper, Melchior, Balthasar, and they knew that something important was happening. They wanted to come to the new light bringer, and they brought him gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, gold, the most precious substance found on earth for the elemental earth, and frankincense and myrrh are both aerial substances, incenses, which signify something spiritual. So they brought the physical and they brought the spiritual. And so who are they? What does this indicate? And of course it has been connected, not without some wisdom by the theologians, with the Feast of the Epiphany. The Epiphany is a double meaning which is always very similar. One is the coming of the three kings, as they are called, the three magi, and the other is the manifestation, the epiphany of Christ when he is baptized in the river Jordan. You might say that's a lot of years in between, looks like two entirely different phenomena. But both of these have something in common. And what it is, that they are recognition, the discovery that something truly great has happened, that there is somebody here who came from outside who can help us and who can bring us closer to the development of his own likeness. And that is very important. We'll talk about it a little more on Epiphany. But Magi. In some places they are called, in Hungary they were mostly called the kings, the three kings. We three kings of Orient, but the Hungarians are traditional monarchists, at least I know. So here are where do they come from? Well, they come from the far reaches of the earth. Because one Magus, a great transforming Magus, who is in the east and from the east, is lying there in the manger. What do the wise men say? That we have seen his star in the east, and we have come to see him. So the east is the newborn messenger of light himself, and the other three from the other three directions, from north, from south, and from west. They have come from everywhere in the world, and what are they? They are Magi. They are saintly transforming agents. And very often the word Magus and Magi was applied to the wise men of Persia. So it is quite possible because Persia and India are the two original homes of the Aryan peoples. And then when the Persians had the same kind of misfortune that some other people have now, of certain other people moving in on them, then many of them fled to India, where they are known as the Parsis, the Persians. But the fact of the matter is that from the different regions of the world, the magical people, the people who carry the tradition of transformation, the tradition of redemption, the tradition of reality are coming. And they say, oh yeah, here is one born who is like us, who is going to be one of us. And he will look up. It was the star, his star from the east that has guided us here. And they bring their gifts. So what does the Epiphany then mean in that sense? It means the recognition. They are recognizing the new messenger. And doesn't that have to happen inside of us? Oh yes. So our various faculties, intellectual, emotional, transcendental, so forth, they have to come and recognize that, oh, there is something wonderful, something redeeming, something instructive, something that can bless inside of this person. And it is growing. And the manger is our body, but there is the message and the messenger of light, the newly born, the one who has just come out into this world, but who is there and who will complete the number of the Magi, as indeed he did. So it's a very important, and then you see why has the church added to that festival of the three Magi the baptism of Jesus in the river Jordan, which is also part of the Epiphany, because the baptism in the river Jordan, Epiphania, meaning the showing forth of the divinity, just like the three Magi see something that other people don't see. This is one of us. He's from above. He's from the divine. In the same manner, when Jesus grows up, there is the story of him going to the river Jordan, where the strange fellow in his hairy coat called John is baptizing the people. And when Jesus goes into the water, and John pours the water, that everything changes. A dove flutters over his head, according to the New Testament, and a voice is heard from heaven, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." The dove, which according to any mythologist will tell you, the dove is the symbol of the Greek woman, is the symbol of Venus, Aphrodite, and possibly Sophia. So the great mother is there. Yes, he's here and now he's being recognized. Very, very important. And then a voice, no form, no shape, the voice, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Recognize him. Here he is. Come and see who it is. This is the one who is going to help you. This is the one. And you know, such epiphanies can occur if you are properly prepared and if we work for it. They can occur with us. We may hear a voice and which will identify that strange little light, the strange little Gesù Bambino inside of us. This is the one. Listen to him. He will lead you. He will lead you out of the great prison, and he will lead you to freedom. So that is why the season, both for Christmas and for Epiphany, are all within the dark season, because that is when you can see the light. That is when the light will really be effective. And the contrast of the enlightenment and of the darkness within which the enlightenment occurs is always quite significant. Now then, there are various other little things. Oh, well, these are just nice little stories that gospel writers came up with, but are they really? For instance, the fact that there is this very unpleasant individual, individually nasty in reality, King Herod the Great, the great villain. Herod knows something is happening, that a very important being of light has come. And of course, what does he think of that? We might take away some of my power. And see, and there might not be the king in Jerusalem anymore if he's really the king of the Jews. So Herod says very, very cunningly to Magi, now when you find it, and on your way back, you come and tell me, because I want to know where he is, so I can go and elevate him or sure. However, the Magi are warned, no, don't go to hell, leave him out, just go on homework, and they do. And you see the enemy, the one who is trying to do away with the light and with the message of the light is always there to look out for him. And if you look, for instance, in analogous important stories in other religions, like the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of the Ramayana or the Greek. Krishna, the avatar who is there, and what does he do? He leads the lead chariot in the battle. Now, you might say, oh, that means that Krishna is wants war. But the thing is, it is a war. Because as soon as and you will see that within yourself. If you look hard enough, you will see that something really great, something really beautiful, something more beautiful than every work of human art is coming. It's coming within yourself. It's coming out of the manger within yourself. But watch out, because the opposition is there too. King Herod is reaching out, but the wise men are wise. Otherwise, why would they become wise men? So the wise Magi say, no, we're not going to go back to that guy. And they leave him out and they go home. So the two avatars, for instance, I don't know why I'm Hindufying tonight, but the two avatars, they're the only two, avatar is the divine incarnate in the human. There are only two really in Buddhism, they are Krishna and Ram. Now, Krishna is the charioteer in the great battle, and Arjuna, the prince, is the one in the chariot. And Krishna instructs him. But Krishna doesn't want to, Krishna is a pacifist. No, I don't want to go on that. These are all relatives of mine. I don't want to fight them. That is what Arjuna says. That Krishna tells him. It is your dharma to do that. You have to do away with the opposition. And the other one, Rama, of course, has the great problem that his beloved Sita has been captured by Ravana, the evil king in the island. Now he has to devise the ways to go there and find her. So what is happening is not easy. It is difficult. It is painful. It involves fighting the opposition within us and around us. But if we can do that, then the reward is beyond measure. And so that is why we have the avatar picture. So now then, let's see. So remember this, that what we are dealing with here is a double pattern. Messenger of light, like in this particular case Jesus, but others before him and others after him, the messenger of light and on the one hand, the one out there, and the higher self inside us. And this is why the real guru, the spiritual liberator, is someone who represents the divine within us. That is where St. Paul gets his statement that Christ in you, the hope of your glory. So there's something there. We not only have the promise of glory, we have hope of glory. And this is all concentrated. I often wondered when I was studying the holidays of the church here, how come the baptism of Jesus in the river Jordan is placed so close, calendarically, to Christmas? Well, because both of them have to do with the forthcoming of the one of promise and the ability to recognize them. The Magi come and recognize it, and the whole reality recognizes it when the dove comes or the mother comes, and when the voice is that this is my beloved son. He is the one. Listen to it. See, this is important. Same way within us. So that is where really insightful and humble self-observation is of great value. Because we have to be able to look at ourselves and say, all right, where is the good within me? Where is my potential of the heavenly kingdom? Is it here? And if you ask that really sincerely and humbly, and not to, am I really the big shot who is going to save the world, and which is always allowed. All these people who are saving the world. But when it is something of this sort, then it's an entirely different issue. And so we have to listen. We have to, more than that, we have to look. We look for the goal. This is the goal that the Magi about. It means what kind of a goal? This is the goal of the alchemist. This is what things have been transforming into. This is the becoming, because the gold is not the final result, but this is the becoming of the philosopher's stone. First it becomes the gold. Here it is. And then they brought the frankincense and the myrrh. They said, come on, smell the spirit. And I'm sure that there are some here who, at some point, will agree with me that they have smelled it. God has a fragrance. The divine is fragrant. The divine is a perfume. And that's in French, perfume means exactly the same as incense. And so then, that which comes from the earth and that which will enter our nostrils, we have to learn how to smell the divine. We have to learn how to discern. And it really works that way. I had one particular teacher who was able to show that. He would say, all right, now be quiet and I'll show you what the greater life, what the mystery, what the light smells like. Created a perfume. There it was all over. This is the prototype of the incense. That is why we use incense at the altar and so forth. Because God is not only good, God even smells it. Now, of course, that's a crude statement. It's quite true. So these are all, and now then, right close to the same period of the coming of the three magi to the cradle and the epiphany in the waters of the river Jordan. Then, meanwhile, the cosmos is, of course, changing and brings to me my mind like it is statistically proven that more people die and more people commit suicide in the period between Christmas and New Year's than any other time of the year. Now it's a hope that it's the coolest season of the year and yet these things are happening. What do you think it is? It is because the year is dying. The year is dying. And the death of the year is the last day of the year, Sylvester night, because it's dedicated to Saint Sylvester. New Year's, like New Year's Eve, the year dies. And people who are in trouble, psychologically, in other ways, they feel it. And then the desire to die with the year comes to. This is where we have to watch ourselves. This is in the dark of the winter solstice, those things happen. So be careful. Be careful and realize that darkness is there not so that you might be dark, but that you might see the light better. You can see the light much better in the dark than you can in the sunshine. And so this is also quite important, because as the year dies, we need to keep watch. We need to keep watch at night at the Holy Sepulchre. And if we do, then we will be well rewarded. So I would, you can see now sort of what I'm driving at. I am indicating that all of these potent symbols that we encounter at this time of the year, ecclesiastically, biblically, in all kinds of other ways, that these have a great imperative role if we listen to them. And if we do cooperate with the little one in the cradle who says, "Come to me, I am the one, I am the one." And he says that because he is. And he is there in each and every one of us. And as such, that is very, very important. And that is why the Savior figure and the baby Jesus at Christmas time has been such an important feature of Western culture. Because symbolically and across the veils of matter, it indicates to us, you have come from above. You have come from transcendence. And if you adhere to your role as a transcendent being and continue to manifest that and bring that here, then you will have fulfilled the purpose of your being. And with that you will merit ultimately your return, your resurrection and your ascension. Because the Hungarians have a saying about peppercorn. You know, a lot of these wise sayings are all culinary in format. And it says that the pepper is small, but it is very, very strong. And so it is, the Christ child is small. The Christ child inside of us is small. It requires years of development and care to truly confront, but it is very, very powerful. In it is the transforming power of all the alchemists of the world, and in it is the, how can I put it, is the joyous celebration of who we really are, and I don't like that word celebration very much. Important. So here we are, Christmas, New Year, the darkest point of the year when the light is born. Let's try to participate in it. We can be like the three magi. We can be like others. We can be like the shepherds and come to the cave. Oh, here it is. Look at it. It is little, but it is holy. It is little, but it is redeeming. It is little, and in it dwells the fullness, the totality of the divine power, because no matter how much of a child it still may be, the child, it has been said, the child is a father to the man. And so as you might say that the baby Jesus is the origin of the resurrected, the crucified and resurrected and ascended one. And really, it's very, very important. So the most important thing at this time of the year is to look and to listen and to smell. And there's something in the air. There's something happening. There are some sounds that go through the ether, some celestial bells that ring because something important is being born. And that important thing is not just born outside, but it is born inside of us. And if we nourish it, and if we take care of it like a good parent, I'm a parent, I never had any children, but I have good parents, and I know what good parental care can do. If that occurs, then that incredible potential, barely visible in its smallness, will grow, its magnitude will increase until, like St. John in the Acts of John, looked down at the crucifixion. Not a nice sight on the mountain. And Jesus appeared to him. He said, John, don't worry about that. What's going on over there is not me. Look, I'm empty. And then he stretches out his arms so that he becomes a living cross in the four directions. And he says, that is me. Look at me. So, because what we are dealing with here is a miracle. And we should recognize it. We are a potential vehicle of the greatest miracle that can occur in the cosmos, which is the coming forth of the ultimate divine redemptive power. This is my beloved Son. This is, the beloved Son means the one who has come from above it, come from the uttermost pinnacle of transcendence, and has come to us, has come in us. And if we can pay proper attention and are not diverted by good or by bad, then what is trying to happen will happen. And this is not, I'm not just my preacherly self, which I don't mind being, but what I'm trying to convey is that each and every human being is a potential miracle, but the miracle requires attention. The miracle acquires acceptance. The miracle acquires the magician who will be there and help with the magic. And we have all that potential. It can happen without any great difficulty. And this is chronologically, in terms of the development of the cosmos, this is the time when by paying attention, attention is tremendously important, because we miss some of the most important, most valuable things by being inattentive. So be attentive. Maybe you will hear someone knocking at the door. Come on, let me in, let me out. I am the one. I am the one who was born at midnight, at the darkness of night of darkness. And we all can bring the light to you as you deserve, because you came from the light also. And therefore, when it is awakened within you, you will be the light. You are all the light of the world. That is what it tells us. And I have come to show you how that is. How the light of the world can come, how it can be born in humble surroundings, how it can be initiated by the strange man in the river Jordan, and the tremendous transforming, enlightening, salvific influence that it can have. Because we are all children of the Most High, growing up to become representatives of the Most High here on earth. And that is not only a potential, but it is something that I would say is awakening. I have, with the grief and various things that we experienced here this winter, I think that there is something reborn. This is not only a season of death, although the year dies. This is the season of life, the great life, the eternal life, the life from whence we have come, and the life whither we are going. Life, life, life. And I thank you very much.